This is November 10th, 1996. My name is Joe Todd. This is an interview with Ronald Burns at the 486 Civil 1st Battalion at Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. And your rank is?
Sergeant First Class.
Sergeant First Class. Where were you born?
Holton, Kansas.
Holton, Kansas. When's your birthday?
12/12/41.
When did you first join the military?
1962 December.
Army, Navy?
Army.
Army. Why the Army over the Navy and Marines?
Because I went airborne in my special forces. That's the reason.
Okay. Where'd you go to basic?
Fort Linwood, Missouri.
Who's your drill sergeant?
Oh shoot! I remember this was there. I just can't remember the name. He was a black drill sergeant, a Korean veteran, and quite an individual. A good drill sergeant. Just can't remember what his name is.
What impressed him? What impressed you about him?
What impressed me about him was the fact that he was all business, and at the same time was a compassionate individual. He understood. If you had a problem, he was there to talk to you. He would support you. No other drill sergeant could more or less enter his area or his arena. All right? If they had a problem with one of his troops, they brought it to him. If they didn't, then they would have to address him. He was a pretty formidable person to try to address.
Those days in basic, was that the old Army?
Yes. The old Army, where you respected your NCO, your drill sergeant, and he treated you like an individual. He treated you, didn't treat you like a child. He was in a strictly business. I mean, you learned the job. You trained hard. Didn't have the luxuries you have now. You didn't have the barracks like you had then. Wooden barracks you could see outside, and fire guard. You stoke the furnace with coal, and you get up and you got soot all over your sheets and all over your bed, and you mop the floor, and it turns to ice, and your butt cans all turn to ice. And that was the old Army. We used to call it Little Korea, I believe it.
Could they still touch the trainees in those days?
Could today's trainees touch them?
No.
Oh.
Could the drill sergeants
touch the trainee?
Yes.
You betcha. It was if you had a problem with a drill sergeant and you couldn't solve it verbally, I mean, you had your opportunity to go solve it another way if you wanted to. And he was always available. I mean, if you felt that lucky.
Not me. What's your fondest memory of basic?
Oh, I suppose as odd as it may sound was the adversity that we put through, because when I went through basic, it was in the wintertime. I joined in December of '62 and graduated from basic in March of '63. So I went right through the winter months, with snow and probably the training in the adverse conditions and the camaraderie that we had amongst ourselves. It wasn't. It was more of I don't know. I think it was more of a trusting army, an army that you could really depend. There was no back talking to leaders. If your NCO told you to do something, your platoon sergeant, your squad leader, or whoever was in charge of you, if they told you to do something, you did it. You didn't refuse. You didn't argue with them. You didn't turn and run. You didn't like the things that happened to Nom after a while. It's just. They told you to do it, you did it, and that was the end of the question. That was the end of the story. You just did it, and you did it the way that they trained you. And I feel like probably we didn't have the equipment, the luxury type items, the high tech stuff that we got now, high speed stuff. We were basic equipment, the old M1 Grand, and your little old fanny pack, and we packed that, and your steel cloth and everything. And things of that nature that like I say, you didn't have the fine art stuff, but you trained with what you had, and you trained well with what you had. You can do well with what you had.
What's your worst memory of basic?
I think probably the worst memory of basic, that there was a class, I think there was a class before us that during the live fire exercise, the low crawl, the fire and the obstacle course, live fire obstacle course, that there was a couple of young individuals that got afraid and jumped up and got killed. That was probably other than that, I really can't, other than the cold. I mean, it was bitterly cold. I mean, if you went outside, it was cold. It was cold in the barracks. It was cold outside. Where you went, it was cold. That's probably the worst part of the whole thing.
So, you have AIT in those days?
Yes, sir.
Where'd you go?
Well, first, I went to Fort Polk, Louisiana. I went to, prior to going to AIT course, I took an LPS course, which I don't know whether they still offer it now, but at that time it was called Leadership Preparation Course. So when I basic training, I was a squad leader. When I got out of basic training, I went to LPS course for 2 weeks at the NCO Academy. And from there I went to AIT, which I became a acting platoon sergeant at AIT at, we called it Fort Pute, at Fort Polk, Louisiana. And then from there I was selected and turned down. I turned it down. I was selected for an interview to go to the National Honor Guard in Virginia. And I declined it, so I go on to go to Special Forces. Go to jump school after that, then on Special Forces.
November 22nd, 1963. Over.
Where will I? Well, my orders say I'll be going to Bosnia.
No. November 22nd, 1963.
Well, November 22nd, 1963. I was at Fort Bragg, North Carolina. That's when President Kennedy got shot. And I can remember that it happened yesterday. Myself and 2 other individuals, we was a training group at that time, and we was setting up a chin-up pool outside the mess hall. And we were outside when the cook come out and told us what had happened. It was the strangest thing I'd ever seen, and I've told this to different people, that it was just the sky just turned black. It started getting cloudy, and the clouds come over, and it got real cold there for a while, and it just cleared off. Right in the same time frame as when we heard that President Kennedy had been assassinated, or shot at the time. We didn't know for sure he was dead. But that will stick with me the rest of my life. I remember that just as well as if it happened yesterday, because I remember exactly what I was doing when I was on the west side of the mess hall, putting my chin up the floor. And just 2 individuals and myself. It's just the strangest. The whole atmosphere changed. The sky changed. The temperature changed. And I don't even tell it anymore because people I know a lot of times don't believe it, but I know it happened.
Was there a special service at Fort Bragg for President Kennedy?
Yes, sir. Well, we had a special service. He was some special to Special Forces because, see, he's the one that reactivated us. He got us back online again. See, we had been deactivated, the old ring type special operation type thing during the Korean Second World War, and then we deactivated. Then he reactivated us. I believe it was in 59 or 60, 59, I believe it was. 60, somewhere around there. No, that's 60. Not sure the exact date, but he was the one that contributed a lot to getting us reactivated. Maybe not specifically directly, but in some way he had something to do with it. And that's what brought Special Forces back up online again, to a certain extent. And of course, the other individuals involved, but as far as I was concerned, and the people that I served with, we always felt like, and we always had fun. So.
How long were you on active duty?
3 years.
3 years? What'd you do then?
After I got out of active duty? Oh, I stayed in. After I left 12 Special Forces, after I left Special Forces, not 12, but that was later. After I left Special Forces, I went to 101st Airborne Division before I got active duty and stayed there and took over dispensary. And got out stayed in Kentucky for a while, worked, and went back home to Kansas, and worked at a cement plant, continued to rodeo. I rodeoed before I went in the Army, and during while I was in the Army at Fort Bragg, and both in Kentucky too, Fort Campbell. And continued to rodeoed and worked and farmed and did farm and ranch most of my life. And got married in 1967, and worked for the fire department as a fireman on the strike truck, the first truck. Also was on the underwater recovery. I was a diver for the fire department on the underwater recovery team. It's not a scuba team. It is, we same scuba gear and everything, but we just go to retrieve dead bodies and do dragging. We did actually do it as you might say the typical scuba person. Yeah. We just recovery team. And drove an ambulance there also for the fire department. Left there and went to work on a farm back on a Richard Angus farm that my brother-in-law's dad owned. And then went and took over as foreman on a big ranch in Eskridge, Kansas, which is the east part of Kansas, the 15,000 acre ranch. After my wife and I separated there, I moved back to Salina, Kansas, where my family was, and took over a feed yard there as a foreman in the vet there. In between that time, I'd worked at the VA hospital in Topeka, Kansas for about 4 years as an IV and pharmacy technician before I moved back to Salina. And then I met a girl from Oklahoma. We got married and moved to Texas. I lived there from 78 till 81. Moved to Oklahoma in 81 because my wife's from Savannah, Oklahoma. Born and reared there, and worked for the prison system. Been there at the prison system ever since. I worked in the medical field as a PA and a pharmacy and IV technician and an X-ray tech, orthopedic tech, and assistant administrator, and still there. Part of that on my reserve time, I got back in the reserve, had a big long break in service. Got back in the reserves in 82 with the 44th Medevac Hospital unit, and transferred out there in October of 84 to the 12th Special Forces Group. Stayed there as working as an 18 Delta and being the battalion NCOIC medic, and also the medical NCO for 12th Group. We had companies in different places. Stayed with 12th Group till we deactivated in August of 94 and then came to 46 Civil Affairs in October of 94. We've been here since then.
What is Civil Affairs?
Civil Affairs is a civil military operation where the military can help the civilians. I guess it's a coalition type thing, the way I like to look at it, between the civilians and military. It's a helping. It's not a unit where you go out and you have to quote get after and do battle with an enemy. You go out and the whole concept has changed of what I'm used to. You go out and actually help people. Instead of trying to go out in lines and kill each other. You don't work at it. It's a new area for me because I've always been in the combat unit, so it's quite an experience for me to get out and do something like it where I can actually do something besides create a lot of destruction. I guess I'm helping save things. I'm helping to save lives. I'm helping to save specific things that are important to people. I'm able to really get out and do a one-on-one with different people and make their life better. Now that's the way I look at it. That's not the military definition, but that's the way I do it. They're trying to help make their life better for them so that they have something to look forward to, like I did. Our lives here, we take our freedom stuff for granted, because we've had it all our lives. We're born into it. They're not. Some of them are still struggling to get there, and that's a part of civil affairs, to come in and help them to achieve that goal, and that's what I find interesting about this unit here. It's been, like I said, it's about a 360-degree change. from shooting people, you're trying to help people.
Yep.
And it's a whole new ball game. It's a whole new learning concept. For an older fellow like me that's been in a long time, been around a long time. It's kind of like teaching an old dog new tricks, and it's been a concept that didn't come real easy, but it's becoming easier for me all the time, and I'm really enjoying it. I'm getting utilized in a different frame, and it's nice.
What's your job in the unit?
Here,
Mm-hmm.
I'm the medical NCO here.
Okay.
As such, this really doesn't really have a medical unit as per se, more in a public health type area. Although I'd like to see that happen here. I would like to see us have a medical unit that when we go out and do a med rep mission or something, we'd have our own facility, our own capabilities here that we could just load up our stuff and go instead of having to access some other unit or something to get it. We have flexibility to just up and go when we need to go, and have a full complement of people that the whole gamut of the field, the dentist, the med, the vet, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas in Special Force, the medic had to do all these things. He does it all. He's the vet, he's the medic, he's the pediatrician, he's the gynecologist, he's everything. But that's because their mode of operation is different. And I don't expect to see that happen, but I would like to see it happen if we have a better medical facility. We could not only do a med rep mission, do a decent one without having to cost a lot of other people to support it, but also take care of our own people within the system during duty times.
When you first heard you may be going to Bosnia, what was your reaction?
I'm really looking forward to it. I didn't really, I guess, have much reaction. If you want to talk about reaction, the reaction that I had was that when I finally heard for sure, well, the waiting's over. That was the hard part, was waiting and waiting and waiting. I like things kind of just plain and simple, straight up front. You either going or you ain't going. And so when I finally heard it, put my mind at ease. I really felt more relaxed. I could go on and make arrangements and get my life, get things lined up and start preparing my family for it. I really am looking forward to it because I feel like it's going to be a new era for this unit. I think it's going to give this unit a time and a chance to really excel and show what they're really, really capable of doing in a difficult, stressful situation and in a hostile situation.
How has the training changed in this unit before notification and after?
I think people that are really taking it more serious. I think there's although I've always believed with any type of training you have, no matter whether it's in an activation phase like we're in right now, or with the station phase, it should always be taken serious. Because you never know when something like this is going to happen. And the way the situation of the globe now, that we've always got something going on. There's something going on everywhere. And so we're said to be called, anytime. We come back, be home 6 months and be called again as far as that many where things are going. And so I think that the training has become more serious. Not so much for the instructors, because I think the instructors that I've seen here have always been serious about it and believed in what they were teaching. I think the personnel that's on the receiving end of it is starting to take, hey, this is real life. This can really happen. I can really go somewhere. I can really get killed somewhere. And a lot of these young people don't think that. They think life's just kind of an easy street. But if they get over there and somebody pops a cap or two at them, they'll go up in a hurry. And it's a shame that sometimes it takes that to make a person grow up. But I think they're getting more serious. I've seen the training be a whole lot better. I've seen training improve a great deal since Captain Road come on board. Not be a name drop or anything, but I've seen the man, been very dedicated. He's lined on some good training. He's really been dedicated and a hard-working individual. And I think the real turnaround really came when he came on board, because he'd been in that phase. He was in special ops, and he came here, and I don't think a lot of people actually knew what should be taking place.
What's the trouble in Bosnia? What's the reason for it?
Oh, I think you hear all different reasons. It's more of a it's more of a religious type thing. It's just the Christian against the Muslims. The way I look at it, it kind of puts me in it kind of puts me in the same frame of mind as the same kind of thing going on in Ireland. Basically, it is. You know, you get the Catholic, you get the Christian, and the Protestants going against each other. It's the same thing. You get one race that wants to be complete ruler of another race by genocide. You know, completely wiped out. Same concept Hitler had. You know, only Hitler was trying to create a perfect race. I haven't heard that said over as far as Bosnia goes, but with the mass murder that has taken place, you know, genocide is no doubt it had been going on and is probably still active. I don't know for sure, but it's a difference of opinion, difference of views, you know, that people have. You know, that this person doesn't want to be controlled by this one, and this one doesn't want to be controlled by this one. So therefore, since we don't want to be controlled, we can't work together. So we'll fight. You know, that doesn't solve the problem. But I think mostly it's in a religious form.
What is ethnic cleansing?
That's you completely annihilating another race or belief.
Is it different ethnic groups in Bosnia?
Yes.
You watch television, you see the damage in Tuzla, Sarajevo, and all that. We're going to be there soon.
Mm-hmm.
What's your reaction?
My reaction is to what I'm going to see.
Just that you're going to a hostile area.
I know I don't. My reaction is going to be just to do my job and try to stay alive over again. I'm from a military family. My dad's been 33 years in it, so he's been through 3 wars, and I've been in the service through several conflicts. So I really don't have any formed opinion or ideas when I get there. I don't like to do that. Because if you start forming ideas and opinions about an area when you get there, or what your reaction is going to be when you get to someplace, I think you're cheating yourself and lying to yourself. You know, because you really don't know what to expect till you get there. I mean, you hear all kinds of stories you want to hear, you see all kinds of pictures you want to see. And what does the news show you? They only show you the bad parts. I'm sure there's some good parts, as I say. So, as to what my reaction will be when I get there, I won't know until I get there. I'm being straight up front with you. I really don't know.
Has your attitude toward your family changed?
Towards my personal family? I don't. My attitude hasn't changed. What has changed is maybe my feeling. My kids are grown and gone away from home, and I've got grandkids. My feelings is I would like to spend a little more time with them before I go, and that's not going to be possible. That's the only thing if you want to use the word regret, we'll use it for lack of a better word for right now. But that's not really what I mean. Okay, I'm not really regretting this thing. Not being able to see them, spend a little time with them. You know, we're cramped for time. You know, everything is really busy right now. And they live up in Kansas. And my daughter's in North Carolina. And even when I go to North Carolina, I'm not going to be able to see her. I'm going to be able to call her and talk to her for a few minutes, but I'm not going to be able to see her. So I've got 2 granddaughters, one my grandson, another granddaughter, my son. And I would like to see her a little bit before I go. I don't think it's going to happen. I may be able to get a couple of days and go for it, but right now, I don't know if it's going to happen. And of course, my parents are getting quite a bit older now.
Where do they live?
They live in Salina, Kansas.
Whenever you hear Bosnia, what do you think of?
I may not believe it, but I really don't think about it. I really don't. You know, I don't have time. You know, I don't allow myself time to think about it and dwell on those things. I've learned by working with the prison system, if you dwell on things, it'll start getting you down. So I don't dwell on it. You know, if I hear it, fine. You know, if I hear something, fine. If I hear something that's different than what I've heard previously, you know, I'll try to check it out and see what I can find out, see if it's accurate or not. But I don't dwell on it. I mean, I've got life's too short to dwell on too many things.
Landmines.
Landmines do concern me a little bit. My main concern is that it's been so many years since I've really been trained in landmine warfare. With SF, we learned how to set them up, set up mine, now AP mines, and et cetera, et cetera. But it's been a lot of years since we've really been out and probed and checked on landmine. I'm hoping we'll get that at Bragg. I hope we'll get an extensive course in. That's the only. And the only thing that concerns me about there is, and this might not sound accurate, but it's the way I feel. I'm gonna step on one. I just seen it kill me as it blow me in pieces. I really don't want that to happen. I'd like to become a whole man. I don't mind getting shot, wounded, or something like that. But I just don't want somebody to blow my leg off up to my fanny.
Snipers.
That concerned me, but not overly concerned me, because I have mentally prepared myself for that. I've prepared myself for car bombing, et cetera, et cetera. Because I know that's all going on, even though you may not hear much on the news. And military's gonna, Uncle Sam's gonna protect us once they can, and give us the flag first, and like my dad told me, he said, keep your eyes open and your butt down, And so that's what, you just got to pay attention to what's going on. You can't go over here and think you're on vacation because somebody will nail you. You got to pay attention.
Now you're in civil affairs, you're in the medical field, you're supposed to help people. What would it take for you to kill someone?
What would it take for me to kill someone? It would take nothing for me to kill somebody. I do in a heartbeat. If it meant protecting my life, or protecting somebody else's life, or maybe a patient that I have, or taking care of one team member's life, Forget I'm trained in combat all my life. All my military's combat except for when I came to this unit. So I'm mentally set to do that. And I work in a civilian environment where I have to be that way all the time. I have to be mentally focused all the time because I work in a maximum security prison where people get killed every day. Well, not every day, but they've been killed. They get killed quite often here, and they sure get a lot of stabbings and all kinds of trauma in there. So as far as talking to cap on somebody, I have no qualms about that at all. I'm not a conscious objector, and anybody that believes that's making a mistake.
Have you ever thought of the possibility of you being shot or even killed in Bosnia?
Sure.
You talked to your wife about it?
Oh, not much detail. I probably will talk to her a little more about it now. I've been on AT here for the last 10 days, so I'll probably talk to her in these last few days with home a little bit more. And that's why I've got everything. I've put my house in order. I've got everything squared away. She's taken care of. I've lived a good life, I'm a firm believer that when it's time for the Lord to call me home, it don't mean that if I'm in Bosnia or in my own home, in my own bed, in my own home. When my time has come, then that's where I'm going to go. The location makes absolutely no difference. The country, the day, the hour, it makes no difference. I don't know when the time is going to be, but I don't dwell on it. I've thought about it. And it doesn't bother me. I'm not scared of it. I'm not scared about it. I'm really not afraid of it. The only thing that concerns me is that if I do get shot and killed over there, I don't get to spend no time with my grandkids. But if that happens, it happens.
What would you tell your grandkids?
What will I tell my grandkids? I probably won't tell them anything because they're not old enough to know. The oldest one's only about 5.
What would you like to tell them?
Oh.
If you don't come back, they see this tape in 10 years. What would you tell them?
I'd like to tell them that I love them. And I would like to be able to spend more time with them. And I've got 3 granddaughters, 1 grandson, and I would like to be able to tell him that if I had been around, that I would like to have the opportunity to teach them how to hunt and fish and how to track and trap and do things that my dad taught me, passed on, and the things that I taught my son. Hopefully, if I'm not around to do that, my son will teach him. To my granddaughters, I don't know what I'd tell them except that I just love them. But to all of them, I just would tell them that to grow up and be very proud of them, and that they do something to their lives, make something of their life. Go on to school, some kind of professional field, something that they can be proud of. Even though I may not be around. If they have a talent, such as my daughter does in art, that they would pursue that talent, give it all they got, no matter what it is. I just want them to take whatever skills that the good Lord has given them and talent they give them, and that they utilize to the best of their ability, and that if I don't get to see them grow, that I love them.
Have any comments, statements on anything?
Oh, nothing much except that I would really like to see this country come together as a whole without any negative attitudes toward the military. This country was settled by fighting. The military settled it. Our forefathers did, and it's always going to be that way. It's never going to change. Nobody is going to find the solution to peace. 100% peace. Only God's going to do that. But I would like people to get this negative attitude out towards the military. We're here. We're downsized, and I hope and pray that we don't downsize so much that we become vulnerable. But this country has got to learn to pull together and support us, even if they don't agree within themselves that what we're doing is the right thing. We're soldiers. We're professionals. We're not. Even though we're reservists, we're still professionals. Most of us have been on active duty. We're professional active duty. We're professional reservists, and I would like to see that attitude between the civilian population and the military become more combined, become more of a family. And I would like to see this attitude with the regular Army and the reservists, this attitude of the regular Army that we're just reservists. I would like to see that concept change. I would like to see them look at us just as the way they look at themselves. Because I was on active duty. I didn't look at the reservists that way. Just because we are reservists, what they need to do, they need to take a little deep look and just put where it says reservists, and say maybe these guys have been active, maybe they've got a lot to offer. We've got a lot to offer. That we don't have the manpower to go out and fight any kind of major battles by themselves. They're going to have to count on us. So treat us like brothers. And for the people, even though maybe, like I said before, they may not agree with all of our concepts and all of the methods and what we do, when we go into a country, we're doing what we think is right. Granted, every decision the military makes is not correct, and I'm not going to sit here and say that everything that they say is absolutely right and written in stone. But what I'm saying, we think we're right. We're doing what we think is right. They do what they think is right. And we're doing what we think is right. So that just give us that courtesy, and work with us, and don't fight us. It broke my heart in Vietnam, because they sit back and raised so much fuss. And I lost so many buddies over there, and it because of a bunch of people that was misled and have their own little ideals, these little pipe dreams that they think that this world is going to be perfect, and it's not going to be perfect. Nobody ever said it was going to be perfect. People need to grow up and start coming together and acting like adults and acting as a unified and a unified country. And that's all I really would like to see happen. You know.
We have a good interview. This is part one. Part two is when you come back.
I'll be back.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.